Good morning, everybody. I'm Thomas Roberts. Topping the agenda today, putting on the pressure. Team Obama ramps up demands for Mitt Romney to release more tax returns while doubling down on questions about Romney's reign and retirement from Bain Capital. President Obama holding 4 campaign stops in Texas today. Bain will crisscross the battleground of Pennsylvania. Romney's welcome there, a new Obama campaign ad that poses the question, what is Romney hiding?
Tax havens, offshore accounts, carried interest. Mitt Romney has used every trick in the book. Romney admits that over the last 2 years, he's paid less than 15% in taxes on $43 million in income. Makes you wonder if some years he paid any taxes at all.
Obama campaign staffers doubling down on doubts about Romney's business background to make sure the Bain strain keeps weighing heavy on Romney's shoulders.
Mitt Romney has made the central premise of his candidacy his tenure at Bain.
You can't sign your name on a federal government document saying you're the head of this company, but then tell the American people that you had nothing to do with it. Both of those things can't be true.
Let's dive in now and talk more about this. Joining me now is Patrick Gaspard, Executive Director for the Democratic National Committee and former Obama White House political director. Patrick, it's great to have you with me. And let's get right to the rebuttal, because here's what Mitt Romney had to say about the demands that he keeps hearing from the left for more tax returns.
John McCain ran for president and released 2 years of tax returns. John Kerry ran for president. You know, his wife, who has hundreds of millions of dollars, she never released her tax returns. Right. Somehow this wasn't an issue. The Obama people keep on wanting more and more and more things to pick through, more things for their opposition research to try and make a mountain out of, and to distort and to be dishonest about.
So, Patrick, it doesn't sound like you're going to get them anytime soon, but when and if Romney releases more returns, is this discussion over, or is it a means to a greater end for the Obama campaign?
Well, Thomas, that was actually a very interesting defense from Governor Romney. He cites Senator McCain, who, of course, had been in the Senate for a long time, and his finances were a matter of public record. And, of course, we all know that Mitt Romney disclosed 23 years' worth of taxes to Senator McCain, and Senator McCain, after reading those taxes, decided to pick Sarah Palin as his running mate. So I think that the American people are at least as deserving as John McCain was of knowing exactly what kind of commitments, financial commitments Mitt Romney has, and whether or not there are any potential conflicts of interest should he be elected president of the United States. These are important questions.
I'm sure you saw this, but I just want to make sure that our viewers have. Stephanie Cutter, the Obama campaign staffer who first raised the question about whether Romney committed fraud in these SEC documents related to Bain Capital, had this to say today on Morning Joe. Take a listen.
If you're signing documents to the federal government, as we all know, that you knowingly know that aren't true, then that is a criminal offense. But we are not suggesting that Romney committed a crime here. We're actually suggesting he's not being upfront with the American people about what his involvement was with Bain.
All right, so Patrick, people are going to be left shaking their heads on that one, because Stephanie's coming out. She's the one that laid out the word felony, but then says there, we're not accusing him of anything. If Democrats believe that fraud was committed, why is no one calling for an investigation? And is it the position of the DNC that someone should initiate a fraud investigation against Bain and Romney if you're going to use that kind of language?
Actually, Thomas, I think that some independent analysts and some journalists have said that this needs to be further investigated.
But is it the DNC's place? Do they believe, if everybody's going to be using that kind of language, do you feel that you need to urge people on the Hill to form some investigation to back up these claims?
Well, let's be really clear about what we're saying here. Mitt Romney claims that in that period from 1999 to 2001 that he had absolutely no jurisdiction over the decisions that were made at Bain, but we have seen SEC filings that say the exact opposite, that contradict Mitt Romney's sworn statements. Therefore, all the right questions are being asked about what his role was as president and CEO of that company in that period. The American people want to know. Journalists are asking this question. And I have to say, Thomas, that when you look at that record, when you consider that Mitt Romney is holding this up as his chief qualification to be president. I mean, this is somebody who claims that somehow he's gone back in time and retroactively retired from the company. He didn't have control over a company that he was the president of. He has yet to disclose his taxes. This sounds like the dossier of somebody who's running to audition to be the next Bond villain in the next James Bond film, not somebody who's running for the highest office in the land. So Stephanie's asking all the right questions. Our campaign's asking all the right questions. And increasingly, the American public really wants to know what Mitt Romney's hiding.
All right, well, meanwhile, Mitt Romney is trying to change the campaign conversation, the Romney campaign, that is out with this new strategy, accusing the president, though, Patrick, of crony capitalism, the RNC reinforcing it with this new web app. Take a look.
Meet Steve Wesley. He raised over $500,000 for Obama's campaign. With Obama in office, Wesley Group investments have received $500 million taxpayer dollars. Obama's friends are doing fine. The middle class isn't.
Yesterday, Romney said during a fundraiser in Louisiana, Patrick, in reference to President Obama, he has taken your money, your tax money, he's given it to businesses owned by his campaign contributors, and at best, that stinks. How do you respond to those accusations that President Obama, his administration, are engaging in political payoffs?
Well, first of all, the questions that are being raised by Mitt Romney, his campaign surrogates, and by the RNC have already been answered in a fulsome way by the United States Congress. They've spent the better part of a year looking into the question of Solyndra and whether or not anything untoward happened there, and found absolutely nothing. So this is clearly a distraction at a time when even leading Republicans are calling on Mitt Romney to disclose his taxes and to better explain what his situation was at Bain Capital. And I want to remind you, the only reason why the RNC can run a video of who contributed to Barack Obama is because we have full disclosure on our side. Mitt Romney has yet to disclose who is bundling for his campaign. So there's no transparency there, no basic honesty, and folks are asking and demanding more information.
The DNC's Patrick Gaspard. Patrick, great to have you on this morning. Thanks for your time.
Great to be on, Thomas. Thank you.
All right, we want to bring in this morning's political power panel. Jackie Kucinich, politics reporter for USA Today, BET columnist and Democratic strategist Keith Boykin, Republican strategist Chip Saltzman. It's great to have you all here. Chip, I want to fire off to you first because the Washington Post fact checker gives Romney 3 Pinocchios for the reasons that he gave for not releasing more tax returns, calling his arguments misleading. So if you were, in his ear telling him what to do, what would you say? Because why not just end this, release more of these tax returns? He was willing to give John McCain 23 years. What did he learn in that vet that he's afraid of this time around?
Well, we certainly don't know, and certainly it'd be a lot easier to release his taxes, but I think if you release all those taxes, I think Governor Romney made the right point. They're going to go through every line and try to find something else to pick on. Look, I think the one thing we found out for certain, no matter what the conversation is for the next couple of weeks, the Obama campaign is going to push back on, let Romney release his taxes. If it's a conversation about the economy, they're going to go release Romney's taxes. That's what they're going to talk about. And until the Romney campaign can either change the conversation or get this off the table, this is what we're going to talk about because it's fascinating. There's a lot of people that are interested in it on our side of the aisle. But as we've seen in the polling, I'm not sure this is really working. If you look at the daily tracking numbers, actually Romney's ticked up a time or two over the last couple of days. And even in some of the battleground states, Romney's either gaining ground or solidifying his lead. So I'm not sure this is a campaign, an attack ad that the Obama campaign's really making hay out of.
All right, we're going to talk more about the numbers here in a second, but let's, Keith, talk more about what the choices were for John McCain back when he was picking a vice presidential candidate, and the vet that took place for Mitt Romney then. 23 years of his tax returns were released. Steve Schmidt, though, of the McCain campaign, now telling the Huffington Post it wasn't Romney's tax returns, but his wealth that was the biggest problems. For Democrats, is that really the bigger issue here? Not so much about the tax, but the transparency and targeting him for his wealth and how he's made it.
I don't think people are concerned about him being wealthy. There have been plenty of wealthy candidates before. It's about the secrecy, the lack of transparency, these questions that aren't being answered. Stephanie Cutter was also, when she said on Morning Joe today, if he wasn't at Bain from 1999 to 2002, why did it take 3 years to change the letterhead? That's a really good question. And people are wondering, how does a guy like Mitt Romney end up with $101 million in his IRA when you can only give $5,000 or $6,000 a year? There's so many unanswered questions that the American people deserve to know the answers to.
Jackie, in the setup to this show, we mentioned how the Obama campaign's new ad is questioning whether Romney even paid taxes. We add to that the accusation of fraud in SEC documents related to Bain Capital. Is the Obama campaign walking a really fine line here, this fine line of innuendo?
Well, they haven't gotten the Romney campaign hasn't really responded to it. So they're going to keep on doing this kind of stuff, releasing these ads because they think it's working, and there really hasn't been a good response from the other side yet. So I think as long as you have that dynamic, you're going to see more of it from the Obama campaign.
So, Chip, Joe Scarborough said on Morning Joe today about Romney's Bain defense something pretty telling. Take a listen.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Tax havens, offshore accounts, carried interest. Mitt Romney has used every trick in the book. Romney admits...
I agree that it's not a good answer. Give me a name, give me a face, give me a... The Romney people haven't handled this well.
Started off there with the wrong sound, but, Chip, the Romney people have not handled this well. Give me a name, give me a face. The questions surrounding Romney's departure from Bain, as Keith points out, from 99 to 2002, not only changing the letterhead, but why not come forward with the person who really was in charge, the real CEO?
Yeah, I agree. I think they've got an opportunity to kind of set it up. I mean, this is pretty simple math. I mean, he left in 1999 to run the Olympics. He couldn't have done both jobs if he was spending 6 days a week in Salt Lake. He couldn't run Bain at the same time. He's a pretty impressive guy, but I'm not even sure that impressive. But I think they've got an opportunity to push back on this one because this is something that's pretty clear. In 1999, he left Bain. Now, there's some passive income. There's other deals that kind of go on forthcoming. But the Romney campaign really needs to respond to this really quickly. And it's festered over a week or two now, and they need to get out in front of it, or at least put it to bed.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's not pretty clear. Chip, you said it's clear that he left in 1999. If that's the case,
Sure
then why did we spend 2 weeks talking about it? Why can't he come up with a straight answer?
Because
how does somebody retire retroactively?
Over and over again.
Well, Ed Gillespie can't even provide a straight answer about what it means to retire retroactively. How are you going to explain that to the American people in the swing states across the country who are trying to figure out who is this guy, Mitt Romney, who we're being introduced to?
In 1999, he left Boston and moved to Salt Lake City to run the Olympics. That's where he was for those couple of years. Now, again, he may have been flying back and forth and was CEO of Bain at the same time, but I don't think anybody can run those two companies.
And yet he continued to put his name on the SEC documents as managing director, as CEO, as owner, sole shareholder of this company that he has absolutely nothing to do. I don't know which is worse, to claim you had nothing to do with the company or that you were involved and you didn't know what was going on. It's bad equally both ways.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to leave it there. Jackie Kucinich, Keith Boykin, Chip Saltzman, thanks so much. My appreciation to all of you, today's Political Power Panel. We are just learning, though, that today the President George H.W. Bush has announced that he won't be attending this summer's Republican convention. President Bush and his wife will miss the party in Tampa due to health reasons, but the former president urged Republicans in a statement to get behind Mitt and Ann Romney to turn the country around. It's going to be the first convention that he has missed in 35 years.